Hey guys, how's it going? Ghosty Rich here today, and today I'm here with Tyler. Now, you might have seen Tyler before on DDE, back when he was working on their Murcielago with a Sony partnership, and the
R34, yeah, we did both cars.
It's super cool. I thought it was unique when I got to see him on those episodes, and then on top of that, if you follow me and you follow DDE, you've definitely been seeing them do a lot of scanning lately with their body kits and so on and so forth. And then I remembered, well, Tyler's been doing that in the audio world. He's been able to make custom speaker pods, and it's elevated it. So what's really cool about that is he ended up making the gauge pod for the C7 Corvette. So we're just going to go into all the pieces that went into it. It's not a little simple thing from which, you know, I'm going to be able to just try and mill out, or if I did, it's going to take a very long time. So with him being able to have the software, the tools, and be able to do this in-house now, it's super cool. So
yeah, Tyler, if you want to show us the pieces, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, you brought me your center console here, and you wanted to get rid of the cigarette lighter because it's kind of useless. And
oh yes.
And we didn't want to really modify the car permanently, so I scanned the center console, and off the scan I was able to build this mount that mounted to all the factory locations and had everything go back in, and then design your gauge pod.
Which is just awesome.
And it's in two pieces. It's got brass heat sets in it, so it's got a threadable fastener to it, so it can come on and off a million times. It's fine. The challenge was the gauge is actually wider than this opening.
Yes.
So it's a fair bit wider. So that was a bit of a challenge. I had to make it in two pieces, but it goes on like that, and 4 screws from the back holds it in. You have, and I guess the vacuum, that would be a vacuum line, I'm assuming.
Exactly, for the boost.
So there you go.
And look at the
Finished it with our flocking machine that we have. We have an electrostatic flocking machine. Gives you a very OEM finish and nice and clean.
Yeah, as you guys can see, I'm super happy with the result, and the fitment's insane. Like we didn't even need to use a securing bracket because it's just such tight.
That's in there super tight, and you probably won't be able to catch it on video, but it actually clicks into place. Like when it goes in, it like kind of just snaps into place, and it's kind of perfect. So,
That's insane.
yeah, it's really good.
But yeah, if you guys are interested in this gauge pod, and of course you'd have to use a 60mm gauge for it to work with that, be sure to hit me up, hit us up. We'll make sure you're taken care of. And like I said, it's even the details. Like as you can see, he didn't want just a flat surface. He actually did an indent in here, and it just
Kind of breaks it up a little bit, so it's not just flat, round gauge pod. It gives you something else. And
it's insane. Well, yeah, thanks again, man. That was it just looks so good. I'm so happy with how it turned out. And yeah, again, if you guys ever need anything car audio related, especially when it comes to, you know, custom A-pillars and stuff like that, like sometimes you want to put a speaker where a speaker wasn't meant to go and just elevate your audio game. And if you want, like I said, the craziest of the builds, definitely hit them up. It's really awesome.
well, guys, I just wanted to show you, of course, the process that went into it, stuff like that. And yeah, you'll see it on the twin turbo project. And again, if you're in the Lower Mainland, hit up Tyler. Thanks again, Tyler.
no worries. Thank you.
So if you guys have ever seen how something's scanned, how you add all the little dots and stuff like that as you're scanning it, the hundreds of little dots to remove afterwards. But yeah, that's what it looks like afterwards when you're building it. That looks so cool.
Every step I'm changing something. You might not necessarily see a change, but every time it moves, it's changing something.
Wow.
You can see there, now we'll start to split the body and we added the sides. And then it should be coming up where we're splitting it. We're adding a taper because we're realizing it's wider than the hole. There's a lot of little steps that you just don't see.
Yeah, even down to like just seeing you widen and just adding structure to make sure it's going to be structurally stable.
A lot of little steps, and you just make that change over there. So, like, there's a lot of things. There you go. And that's
Wow,
the finished product.
that's super cool.
For that type of gauges in there, it even had to scoop out the sides for the gauge to fit in. Yeah, there you go.
That's awesome. Something as simple, or simple to us, as somebody who's not got to engineer it, as this is an OEM vent. And then Tyler went as far as, this isn't even a scan. He actually measured everything out so that way he could actually just, again, OEM fit. But then, of course, because you guys on the internet love to call out stuff, said, oh, the vents don't
they're
move.
like, why don't the vents move? So, because in the back side, I just had stationary vents in the back. And someone was like, oh, you couldn't do that? So, of course, I had to redo it. And now the vents move. Took the knob off the factory vent and clipped it on here. So now it's pretty much factory.
That's so sick.
And all that just for my base knob.
One last look at it before it goes in true light. Again, if you are really impressed with this gauge or you want to see some more projects from Tyler, go ahead and follow his Instagram. I'm going to tag it in the description of the video. So again, I love supporting other creators, and he is one of those ones that's not on YouTube yet, but he really should be. The cool stuff he's always creating is just insane. I popped the gauge out so I can hook it up afterwards. What I did is I slipped the tube up here, slipped this guy in up here, and I sunk it in. It has to go, again, kind of at a weird angle. You have to play with it. Be very careful. You don't want to scratch up your stuff. And then once these two are free, you'll have the one connector here. Make sure that's still free for your stick shifter, or shifter of sorts, automatic, manual, whatever you got for the shifter boot. And then make sure you plug these two connectors back in right here. And that should be it for the connectors. From there, we can go ahead, plug in our gauge as well as slip on the tube. I would slip the tube on first and then plug the connector in and sink your gauge into the cup. Once you've done so, go ahead, sink it in. Just make sure it's nice and tight. And that is the gauge installed. The next thing I'm going to quickly do is plug in the automatic shifter boot, or once again, if you have a manual, and we'll sink it back on, and we can start to put this trim back together. Press in nice and tight. Once you do so, you'll feel that hook lock in, and then you can just start to make sure these are lined up with the holes and sink them in. Just make sure it's lined up with the hole like that. Now that we've fully seated that resting piece, we can go ahead and put on our final piece, which is the two Torxes, so we have an armrest again. Another thing, that little plastic piece, make sure you've sunken that back in. It sits right here. Take a look at that. I think it turned out amazing. Now, some of you are going to say, Richard, why isn't the gauge clocked like you're originally planning? The reason why is me and Tyler decided that it should stay the way it is, which is right here. One, so if it was clocked, and let's say there's a blue light or anything on here, it's not staring at you directly and shining it in your eye. Now it's kind of veering in that direction. Second reason why, the gauge is so wide. We would have had to actually cut into here, and our whole plan is, let's say this boost gauge quits working and I can't get another one of this size. I'm like, well, now I have to do something. Maybe I can't get a hold of Tyler or something. Now I can convert this completely back to the cigarette lighter if I really wanted to, because this simply unscrews and the other piece would go back in. And look at that. The gauge kind of goes with the Alcantara on the side. Yeah, sure, it's a little bit darker, but again, I think It turned out awesome. I love the look of it, and it's completely reversible. If you're going to miss that cigarette lighter, let's quickly show you this. This flips open. Oh, look, cigarette lighter. Bring your USB cable up and through here, and you can still put your phone in there if you so wish, because this is a USB pass-through. Let's go ahead and close that. That's good to go, and that's all there is to this. Again, thanks again for watching. Really, if you want to see some really cool stuff, go and take a look at Tyler's Instagram. I'm serious. Send him a follow if you want. And like I said, the projects he's constantly working on are insane. He's got multiple 3D printers and other scanning devices, all meant to make the most insane car audio builds you've ever seen. Thanks again for watching, guys. Press like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more.